The answer is take the win and run. I get hung up on certain things. I have OCD, Jake.
I mean, hi guys, my name's Jeff. I'm an equal opportunity lover. You guys know that.
But wouldn't the dog want to stay on the meat wagon?
You say you can convince the dog to hop off.
That's insane.
Yeah, I'm intelligent.
That's such a Jeff answer right there. He's handsome, curly-haired, and Jewish, sitting right here. Jeff, you are a golden retriever.
Hey, Jake, that's what you kids call that drip, right?
It was good despite the gastric consequences, but call me the crystal ball here, man. I'm getting everything right except my own picks. That's really, to me, a battle of two of the coaches with the best hair.
Welcome to the E Show, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network. Founded in 2013, the EHL is your next step on the path to college. Over the past decade, the EHL has established itself as the college placement leader on the East Coast. And now, here's your host, the commissioner of the Eastern Hockey League, Neil Ravin.
Thanks, Jim. Well, with that, let's bring in Jake, Jeff, and Mikey on the podcast this week. No, stop booing, Jake. Only I get booed. Only I get booed by Bill Zanaboni on the air.
Ooh.
I was
missed
down,
that one.
I was down in Jake's corner where he was hanging out at Plymouth State. And in the background, Zanaboni is over the railing. Boo, commissioner! Boo, commissioner! It was so good.
Oh, Bill.
Oh, it was so good.
Xana claps. That's great.
We have so much to get into on this week's episode. And I think that you guys know I try and stay humble a lot of the time, right? But I have to take a pair of victory laps this week.
Oh.
Okay. And the first
start your engine.
First one being Yahoo Fantasy Hockey.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And I only
golf club clap for
thank you, Jeff. I take this victory lap because 3 years ago I finished in 12th place with 12th place. So mentally, as an NHL fan, I have finally realized that I have to play fantasy hockey with my head, not my heart. Right. So that's why you get guys who aren't on your favorite team, and it leads to victory. So thank you for giving me that chance to do that. The next victory.
Did Chris Ronella finish it last, by the way? Just to recap
I think he ended up getting 10th or 11th. It was near the bottom, but
I was too, but not lasted.
He does not care about that because of where his EHL
his real team
is playing this weekend. So let's start breaking it down and around the E Show.
Let's take a look at what's going on around the E Show.
I kind of teased there also, the second, I guess you can call it victory lap. That was what I envisioned in my head for the regional finals. I wanted to put together basically almost, you can call it almost like a mini finals. I think you said that last week, Jeff, where we had this trip to Providence on the line in both locations, and we're going to talk about all the games, but the energy in both locations was awesome.
Seemed like the fans showed up pretty good. Like I couldn't see too much, but looked like it was pretty well attended, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I kept getting texts from Mikey from down in Hartford. The fans were sitting in similar sections, so that caused a little bit of a stir in both games. And then up at Plymouth State, it probably helped that we were so close to Laconia, so they drew a big crowd because of that. But I'll say this, and we're gonna talk about every game, but the Cam Plum overtime winner was probably as loud as I've heard one of our buildings maybe ever.
That was an eruption. That was insane.
Yeah, and then Jake, you did the interview with him, and he started pumping the crowd up. It was
mid-interview. That was awesome.
It was awesome. Loud.
You probably felt like the cat's pajamas in that moment. That's one of the best things he's ever done, which is pretty cool. That happened in our league.
And I didn't know if the players would, I guess you'd say embrace the banner that we brought out there, but they were taking the extra pictures with the banner. You could, I got the sense of all right, they realized this is what I was trying to build. You have to check off this box, take this step to get to the next step in your journey.
Whose idea was banner? Is that your idea?
It was Justin's. I mean, he was the one that designed them too. But I just I remember seeing the Avalanche players continue to hold it and pass it around. It was cool, right? So now honestly, coming up this weekend, we're going to have some teams that lose and are going to feel like, disappointed because of it. But just the journeys to get here is special.
Yeah, it's hard. Long series, like they don't feel that way, but they are that way for the players when they're on day 3 and they're telling me like, "Oh my gosh, I don't know what I have left in my body for this." I mean, especially when you have games like Mikey called going to double overtime. Like Joe Sindoni asked Cole Davis and how much fun that game was, and Cole said, "I didn't have fun. Everything in my body hurts right now." Like I love that honesty.
Yes.
Like that's a great answer. I mean, yeah, they definitely. Like, it was wild. Players were gassed, teams were gassed, and now they have a couple days and they got to get right back on it.
There was someone that did not seem gassed to me, Jake. Love his energy. One of my new favorites, Jimmy Albert. Can we get him?
Oh, Jimmy Albert.
Dude, he was like a prize fighter, like literally the whole time interviewing. He looked like he was just like
I'm not ready to talk about the
kid was
not
just
ready to talk
bouncing
about
the whole entire
Seahawks
time.
here.
I know. We have to do it, but like seriously, that was one of my favorite ones. I was like, look at this kid. He's literally just like a prize fighter in his moves, just sitting there dancing the whole time talking to you. I was like, this kid's energy is amazing. Electric.
I will cover the elephant in the room, and that's overtime. So I went to Hartford.
Got something to say here, Neil?
I went to Hartford first.
Yeah. What happened?
The very first game of the whole entire weekend goes to double overtime. Referee was Ian Hoffman. Head up to Plymouth next, and game 1 is Seahawks versus Wolves. Referee is Ian Hoffman, and now I'm on Plymouth, and we're going to overtime again. So now that one ended. I want to say it was like 4-ish minutes in, or something like that. It was earlier, obviously. And then Hoffman asked me if I was going back to Trinity on Sunday. I wasn't. He was. So we were, in essence, breaking up, right? And it led to no overtime, right? So that was probably the combination, I guess you could say, is what kept the overtimes coming. And I know, Jeff, we know this now. There's more officials that tune into this than we realized.
Adam Drexel and the gang.
Yes.
I love Drex. Drex is an awesome dude. Good ref.
But let's just start going, game by game. That first game, that kicked the whole thing off. Adirondack versus 87th. It's just like hockey is such a weird sport. Mikey, you're on the call for that game. The second period was like frantic.
Yeah. We scored 5 goals in the second period, Neil. I think we as both teams. 3 goals in the first period, 2 in the third. And then in the first overtime, there's no goals. I mean, that's a game where you think that's going to end 4 minutes max into overtime.
Yeah.
But no, we go into double overtime. Cole Davidson scores at 12:51 of double overtime.
Yeah.
And it's on a play where it's just off a rush, a wraparound attempt that ends up being a pass in front, and Davidson tucks it. But yeah, I mean, you talked about loud buildings, and I mean, for the P and the E at Trinity, both teams had really good turnouts for Adirondack and the 87s. And next thing you know, I mean, that building is loud when Cole Davidson scores.
Yeah.
That building is loud when Bailey Reed ties it with 50 seconds left.
Yeah.
I mean, right off the bat, Mark Antonio finds the back of the net. Then Duffy really late in the first period scores, and the 87s fans get hyped because they feel like they have life. So that was a really good game to open it. I mean, we probably had the game of the day on the game of the weekend, I should say. That's the first game of the whole series.
Yeah, so let's focus on that series first. I guess what I don't want to say is surprising to me, but when a team loses in such heartbreaking fashion like that, it wouldn't have been, to use the word surprising again, to anybody if they had come back and lost the next day, right? You put so much energy into that first game that what do you have left the next day? But as we've seen throughout this postseason, why is it that even if you lose game 1, it's not over? We've had more teams come back and win 2 straight, call it reverse sweep, I guess, whatever you want to call it, this season than ever in our history.
well-coached teams, well-programmed, systematic type teams. With Chris Sorrell and the Avalanche, Adam Hooley in the 87s, Andrew Trimble and the Wolves. Like, you're starting to notice a theme here that these organizations are very well structured, very well coached. They take their teams basically through what they were through, right? When they went through with college, with Hooley, with Trinity, and Sorella with Quinnipiac, and they kind of make them into like a pro style. The craziest thing too, Frankie Smith gives up 6 goals. He gave up 13 goals all season. He gave up 6 goals in game 1.
Yeah.
Well, there's actually a cool story. Cam Pape told us before game 2 that Frankie actually texted him and said, "Hey, like, I understand if you don't want to go with me for game 2." But Cam said, like, that's not in the cards here. Like, we're going with you for game 2. And he made 40 saves in a win.
It worked out.
So, yeah, it worked out. And then in game 3, Frankie was just as good, if not better. And, I mean, that's a big reason why New Jersey is going to Providence, because of Frankie Smith. And, I mean, Bradley Parker scored first in game 2. It was 1-0 Adirondack. I thought New Jersey was in big trouble because now it's the mental game too, right? 40 minutes left, you're down in the series, but Balderi has a nice finish, and then O'Brien in the third has a tip on the doorstep on a Lisienko shot. And next thing you know, Burtnick, who's back in the lineup, who didn't play because he was sick, tucks the empty net, and we're playing at least one game on Sunday. So that was awesome. And then you go to Sunday, and it's a complete toss-up, I think. We talked to both coaches, and Cam once again told us, we'd like to play a similar game to yesterday. That fits more our style. The run-and-gun game is more Adirondack with Parker, Davidson, Mac Ryan, Ridley, and those guys, where they have Oetzer, Lucienko, Alvarado on defense, Frankie Smith, who could shut it down. And that's what they did. I mean, they still give up 36 shots, but a lot from the outside, a lot of shots that Frankie Smith could see. And the 87s played a near perfect game 3 to advance to Providence.
And you wonder now that they were challenged really, you could say, harder than they ever have been before this season in that series, that can prepare them more for what's to come up, where in the EHLP, it's the number 1 ranked team in the regular season versus the number 2, right? So we're not going to come on here and predict who wins game 1. But you could say that if the Wolves do win game 1, the 87s at least now have the experience of being down 1-0 in the series.
Oh, I think it's also just really hard if you're the team that's up and you don't win game 2. I think you can't avoid those like feelings of, was this our chance, right? We talk about how you want to come into the postseason playing your best hockey, right? But if you can't follow up that first win with that second, like, you're now not the team with momentum. You have to build that side back up of it too. And across the board at the regional finals, the team that won game 1 but lost game 2 did not win game 3. And then New England in the EHL had the same thing happen with them in the first round against Vermont. It's just really hard. I feel like you got to win 2 in a row at this point, right? Like, follow up on that. And if you look at like the P-Hawks, man, like, they're a bounce away in overtime. Like, that's a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, let's go there, because obviously same exact script in a sense, right? Where it's a 1-goal game in game 1 that the Wolves lose, and now the regular season champion that had this run this year where they were frankly unbeatable almost, right? They had started off the year with over 20 straight wins, and Will Rose gives up his first goal finally in that first game.
He's human.
but only one goal. If you're the Wolves after that game, how do you get set for the next day? All of a sudden, like, everything that we've had where we've been, I mean, they really have been the wire-to-wire best team in the league, right? Like, you go to bed on Friday night and you're like, oh my God, this could all be over like that tomorrow.
I applaud them so much. They improved like linearly from period 3 of the Seahawks series. They did not look great in the first 2 periods at all. They looked discombobulated. The Seahawks executed their game plan to perfection. They didn't allow the top line to stretch the ice at all. And credit to Coach Trimble and especially that top line for adjusting and figuring out how to generate offense against a Seahawks team that doesn't give up very many goals at all, to the point where you score 1 in the game 1, 3 in game 2, and then 5 in game 3. That is just excellent work by the New England Wolves.
Yeah, and to get back to the start of game 2 for a second, The introduction, Jake, that you put together with Dan and Lucas. Did you guys practice that? I mean,
I didn't put you think I put that together?
but
That was
who's?
cooked up by Dan.
I understand that, but like it with the cadence of it, it just flowed. Like, were you ready?
And yeah, I think so. Did I do okay?
I loved
Did
it.
I not sound ready?
We gotta drop it in the
Great.
podcast right here
Yeah,
because
it was good, dude. Those guys are tons of fun.
I now look to Lucas Jones and Jake Bazile, and I start us with Feel the Rhythm, Feel the Ride. Come on, boys. It's hockey time.
it sounded so good. I mean, it's listen, you get to make fun of me for being old all you want, Jake, but you gotta like before I see you Wednesday, you have to watch Cool Runnings now.
I have so
Cool
many
Runnings?
other
Jamaican bobsled
so
time?
many
Oh my
video games
God.
to play with Carson Lowe in between now and Rose and finals. I cannot.
You
be
need to
wasting
take
my
a
time.
2-hour break to go watch this movie, please.
Hey, come on,
I
feel
don't
the
know.
rhythm,
Yeah.
feel the ride. It's Jamaican bobsled time. Let's go. Come
Jason
on.
to be like, I can't find it on VHS. Like, where is this tape?
Me and Neil get
That's
it
what we
dug out of
grew
our
up with.
basement.
Your
Yep.
brother too, Jake.
I had the tail end of VHS. I used to illegally. Oh, whatever. I think it's statute of limitations. I used to illegally tape like WWE pay-per-views.
Wow.
All right. Yeah.
Even they told you you cannot film and sell this.
They'll
but
put it
yeah,
right in
Right?
the
It literally
VCR.
exactly, Mikey. FBI warning, like right down, like
Yeah.
if you film this, we will come to your house. We will hurt you, Jake.
You should lock that door behind
Come
you.
find me, government.
Okay. Well, there. If we don't see Jake on Thursday, we know why.
As game 2 progresses and the Wolves are up 2-0 in that game, do they feel like everything's in their favor? Because the cliche thing in hockey is the 2-goal lead is the worst lead in hockey, and then the Seahawks come back. How do you kind of reset things as you enter the third period? You're probably thinking, all right, we've tied this series. Now we go to overtime. You just said it, Jake. One bounce away. Just talk about the mental fortitude of this Wolves team, man.
Well, I mean, for the first time in their season, they had their backs up against the wall, and that in itself was probably difficult to handle for a team that lost 4 games in the regular season. And even when they lost game 2 to Adirondack, they knew their season wasn't hanging in the balance, just where they were potentially finishing it or extending it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it was awesome, and I think what you saw was just honestly a lot of individual impressiveness from those 3 guys. Zach Spakuza, Charles Etienne, and Cam Plum. And in that overtime period, it was just Cam Plum executing on a really nice rush, a really nice toe drag, maybe a goal that Will Rose probably wants back, but it's still a one-on-one look in the circle from, someone who might be the best player in the whole league.
Yeah.
And then you follow that up with a Charles Etienne hat trick, and it just feels like the Seahawks did what they needed to do in game 1, but that line can only be contained for so long.
Yeah, because if you look at game 1 and game 2 being obviously 1-goal games, game 3, once the Wolves got going, it always felt like their game.
Yeah, and to me, like 2 of them were empty netters. Fair play to the Seahawks. It wasn't quite 5-1 maybe, but for me the backbreaker was the third period goal on what was probably the second shift of the third period.
Yeah,
Seahawks are still very much in that game if they don't know that goal.
Yeah, I was gonna say
interesting though too with the penalty that the Wolves took right away for slashing 27 seconds in. Do you guys feel like? Did it feel like in the building like the Seahawks were gonna like? Oh, here we go. We're gonna power play to start. Like here we go.
Yeah.
Their bench went nuts. Yeah.
But Jeff, we ended last week's podcast by saying choose a single X factor of all players. I mean,
I can't win EHL Yahoo Fantasy, but I guess I could do this. Okay. All right,
I think you can make. It's hard not to make the case that Sumner Wood was the best player on the ice, and I know Waugh had the hat trick, and I get that, right? But Sumner Wood, I think, was the best player on the ice in game 3.
40 saves on 41 shots. That's a pretty good.
And there were a lot of grade A chances in there.
Yeah.
I mean, there was one, I forget if it was 2-0 or 3-0, Jake, but there was a point blank save, and then the Seahawks took a penalty right afterwards. That may have also been like just kind of the icing on the cake, because it was like, wow, if he's making that save right now, what's it going to take to get one by this guy today?
Yeah, nothing was just going their way. And they piled on a lot in front, and they piled on, I think, 20-something shots in the third period. It's just, you just run into a goaltender sometimes.
Yeah. So
would seem to have gotten better too in the last 3 games. Like maybe it took them a little bit. Maybe those first 4 games, you have 3-3, 5-3. Now it's 2-2-1 in the last 3 games, and seeing a little bit more pucks too. 36 shots, 30 shots, 41 shots. So maybe he's one of those guys too. He's kind of like a Justin Verlander of hockey. He sees more pucks, he gets better as the game goes out.
That guy's still in baseball.
Yeah, he's playing for the Giants. I got him on one of my fancy teams. He's got a rubber arm. Still throwing 96, 97.
Go away.
Like 42. He was a crossover.
We'll get to the Wolves 87s preview in a second. I want to tee up where we're at with the EHL first and go back to Hartford and obviously 87s playing both teams and maybe my Seahawks jinx, which I guess we'll just cover this fast. I went to 4 Seahawks playoff games this year.
They were 0-4?
0-4 in those games.
Oh my God, Neil. Oh, get ready for an even worse boo next time you see Xander.
Jeff,
oh my God.
I've been to, if you combine EHL and EHLP, I've been to 2 87s playoff games this year, and they're 0-2. So
0-6. Commish, get out of here. Go home.
So
see you later.
But I will say this. Mike Richard had a fantastic line to me before game 3. After game 2, telling me that he pointed to a window outside the rink and goes, "You could watch from outside that window."
You just can't be in the building. You can watch
but then before
get those seats at Fenway, like on the apartment across the street, but you can't be in the ballpark.
Before game 3, he was like, "Listen, we do realize this though. If we can't win today, like you have to be in attendance in Providence next week. So we're gonna want to win there too, right?
Mm.
So as mad as we are about your presence, like you have to be here." So we
have to figure out this commissioner jinx. Oh man.
But speaking of the jinx, we get to the start of that EHL series and Capitals versus 87s, and you want to talk about the 87s goaltending starting off slow in the series, but then getting hot as it went on. I mean, you obviously, if you just look at the numbers, that was for Flo, his worst game of the series was game 1, and then he just got better and better and better as the series went on.
And that's another goalie that called himself out too, actually. What was it, Fiala, I think, that had the interview with Joe Sandoni, and he said that wasn't one of Flo's best games, but something about like he apologized to the team. Like,
whoa,
this is crazy. Like these goalies at this time of year, like coming out, you see, especially the 87s, they're built different. Like Frankie Smith going to Cam Pape and saying, "Hey, if you want to bench me, I understand." I mean, obviously we've talked about how good McGillicuddy, aka McGillishuddy, has been all year, and that's a great backup to have in your holster. But just unbelievable for these guys at this time of the year to kind of come out, and they're just becoming men, I guess you could say too.
For sure. Mikey, game 1 though, you looked on the other end of the ice. Hayden Clegg was so good in game 1.
Oh, he was unbelievable. That might have been the best performance from a goalie I've seen in some times. He gave up 2 power play goals, but at that point, he hadn't given up a goal in the postseason coming to Trinity. And then after game 1, he still hadn't given up a goal at 5-on-5, Caden Clegg, in the playoffs. So he's been absolutely unreal, and he was lights out, flashing saves left and right, ones that should go in. And then in the third period, the top line got going for Providence. I mean, Declan Kelly and company. Kroon was moving around the ice. Maddox Watson had a goal in that game. They got some scoring from other guys as well. But really, for Providence, I mean, even in game 3 when they lost, that top line was going. They were creating chances. And they're just a different team when those 3, Raddick and Kroon and Kelly, are moving around the ice like that. But something I said on the broadcast that people might laugh at, but I actually believe is true. Both 87s teams being there was either going to help them immensely or hurt them immensely, I think. Yeah. I think the E team seeing on game 2 on Saturday night, Saturday night, game 2.
You got this.
That, they saw the P team won. So they took the bus there together. So they're either going to watch the game on Sunday and not play, or they're saying, "Hey,
that's such a good point.
We're playing Sunday with these guys." So I really think that happened, and what ended up happening, as Joe Sandoni said, party bus on the way back to New Jersey. All the boys are happy, opposed to like one team being really happy, other team being really sad. So
Yeah.
it worked out for the 87s. But yeah, game one, Flo did not have his best game, and accountability is something Adam Hooley and those guys definitely preach. And it shows because the bounce back from Flo and Frankie Smith was two of the best I've seen. Flo had a shutout, obviously, in game two. I think it was 24 save shutout, where also credit to Lekov and company because when they came out with a purpose. Lekov scored 3.5 minutes into game two, and the 87s never looked back.
You actually predicted that on Friday night too, Mikey. So Jeff, we have to. This is not a paid ad, but Arch 2. If you wanna hook us up the way you did Friday night, we would gladly appreciate that again. I
missed the Arch.
Yes. Well, we also figured out, Jeff, there is no Arch 1 and there is no Arch 3. I don't know why we just went right to 2, right?
What? Really? That was the old Newington showcase stop, the Arch.
Yes.
For those that don't know.
And
they need a prequel.
Oh, jeez.
Oh.
I think the funny, there were many funny moments that night, Mikey, but the funniest to me was that the final bill came, Jeff, and there had been a pizza and pitchers and whatever Mikey had going, that yellow thing, which
pineapple vodka, baby.
I think it looked delicious.
Pineapple vodka.
But the bill comes, Jeff, and I'm like, $50? That doesn't seem right. That doesn't seem at all right. But the owner had come out and hung out with us a little bit at one point. It was I had hyped this up for everyone, and I think it lived up to the hype, and then some.
And then some. The best part was the owner comes around and asks, "Is everything okay here?" Just checking on tables, and it's about 12:50 probably, and we're like, "Well, we ordered a pizza." He's like, "What time?" I was like 12:10, and he's like, "Well," now he's upset because it's been 40 minutes and we didn't get our pizza yet. So I think that had something to do with the $50 bill.
I would say so.
Yes, of course. But the best was when you put it at the receipt on the table, and you're like, "I think we ordered it at 12:10." That's what the time says on the receipt. So
it was a very a polite shirt by you, Mikey. Well done.
But Jeff, so
I was trying to be. I was just like,
it's almost 1 in the morning. What time is the Arch 2 open till?
2. And we right. I think we walked out at 1:35. I don't even know. But the next morning we went and got breakfast. And
at the Arch?
No.
It's I don't think they do breakfast. I don't think they open before noon.
Thank God, myself, Mikey, and George, we got the breakfast 10 minutes before we did, because it became 87's takeover after that. I mean, they, everywhere you looked, it was just that
buff and blue. Buff and blue breakfast, baby.
But to get back to the hockey, they didn't seem stressed, right? Right at breakfast. It was just another day. And it was guys, both of your teams could be going home in 12 hours, right?
Nah, nope.
They win both games. To go back to the comment that you just said, Mikey, you get to day 3. Once the EHLP team wins their game 3, that has to ignite the EHL team.
Yeah, I agree. And that game 3 could have went either way. Nothing was really separating those two teams. We saw 5 goals in the first period, and that was it for the game. And credit to Caden Clegg, because he really shut it down and made a couple 10-bell saves after that. And after getting pulled in game 2 to give up 3 in the first and be able to keep your composure, and I'll say there was, a questionable, if you're on the 87 side, Flo covered it. If you're on the Providence side, it was still loose and it's in the back of the net. So you're never going to get a down the middle call on that. But I think what made it a problem was Flo didn't know where it was. It was under him, but he was moving. So the whistle blew, and with him still moving, the puck ended up going free. But I think he had it under him for some time. But then again, he never knew where it was. So that's why it was so controversial and such a question mark, because it did end up popping out.
I just love your text. Oh, boy. Oh boy. Oh boy.
Jeez was the quote of the weekend.
I'm keep on telling Mikey. I'm in the car driving home now. So just keep telling. And that game, you want to talk about how hockey is really never can't follow the same script, right? I mean, that game 3 starts with 5 goals in the first period, and then that's it.
Silence.
Like
You would think that was going to be like a 9-8 final, right? 5-goal first. Interesting.
Over
Actually, this is
punching the air. The over was 5.5.
Oh,
5 goals in the first period.
This was another thing we interestingly talked about last week too, Neil Jake, was about like Plague and Hansen. Like Hansen went in game 2 and shut them down. 17 saves on 17 shots, maybe, and he's one of Jeff Perreault's original guys from back in the Philly Hockey Club. So he's been with Jeff Perreault for a long time. Yeah. So I was actually kind of thinking, shoot, like we mentioned it, do you go to Hansen maybe in game 3? But like Mikey said, and Clegg was good for so long this year. They both were, but I thought there might have been a chance you put Hansen in, but
or even after the first period, when it's 3-2.
Or that.
Right? Yep. I mean, this is why we're up top and they're the ones coaching, right?
Yep. Yep. I like it up here. I don't like it down there. Yep.
But that checks off the box for the 87s going in. And then in the other series in the EHL, the only one that didn't go 3 games, right? And just the way,
though. Damn it.
And that was the one I think we all were convinced was going to, right?
I thought so.
But just to get back to what I just said before, that there is no script. How did game 1 unfold like that, Jake? Or did the wheels just come off for the
Dude,
Express?
I was like, Mikey, you need to see what happened in game 1. And we watched that sequence yesterday. Like, even being like the Express announcer and stuff all season, that sequence from the Avs is one of the coolest things I have ever witnessed. Like to feed off of every goal, each one, and like each one was like prettier than the next. Like Brady Brown's goal to make it like an 8-2 game was probably the nicest goal of the game, maybe. That thing was beautiful.
Yeah.
But I mean, Carfora's beautiful move to the net front play from Alisi, then to the one-time blast from Ryan O'Leary. Like it was just one after another. And the first period was good for both teams. Express come out in the second, and they are dominating the first 2 minutes. It's crazy. They pot a goal by, the Avalanche are turning pucks over. They're on their heels. It's a full court press by the Express. And then it just takes one. It just takes one to kind of settle the Avs down. Coach Sorello was able to get his boys back in it without even using a timeout, right? They were getting punched in the mouth for the first couple of minutes, and then they just flipped the script. Yeah. And I think the Express were stunned. I think the same thing happened to them in the very, very first meeting back in October between these two teams. It was very reminiscent of that. The Avs scored 3 quick ones. Yeah. And I think they got a little caught off guard. And by the time that 5-minute stretch was over, they were 5 goals behind.
Yeah.
And that's a team.
That's all it takes. It's all it takes.
I'll say, Jay, that's a team you talked about all year long, right? That's built on good goaltending and defense. So maybe it's like you just said, like identity crisis, because you're like, this is what we do. We shut people down. We have Alex Koenig, the best goalie in the entire league, and we're underwater now, and we just can't find our way to land.
I think the big thing for the Avalanche is that, like, after Charles Day scored in game 1, they responded immediately and were able to retake the lead. And then you look after Aiden Dunn scores in game 2, a minute and 2 seconds later, Danny Starella steals a puck from the Express's best defenseman, powers his way to the net, and scores a goal against the best players out there for the Express.
They always responded.
They always responded. Like, if you're the Express, you have to hang on to that lead for at least a little bit. I'm not saying, like, if that game's 1-1 still at a later point, but it just takes so much out of you when you work for nearly 40 minutes for a goal. And I think we saw that in the EHLP level with the Seahawks. They had to work twice as hard for everything they got, and the Wolves are obviously able to scale it up a little bit more. Maybe the same thing happened with the Express and the Avalanche. Avalanche a little bit more able to scale it up and speed it up in the neutral zone. For the Express, you got to muck and grind against a team like that. It just takes a little bit more out of you. And when you get that lead and you lose it so fast, it is so deflating.
66 seconds between the Day and Alisi goals. That's
well, I just had the word deflating in my head as you said it there, Jake, because the way the Avalanche kept going in game 1 was that almost to create that doubt in the Express head when game 2 rolled around, because obviously the score resets.
Yeah, Ben Carfora just said to me in that intermission interview, like, we just need to keep skating and keep doing exactly this. I don't think they had any. I said this on the broadcast. I'm like, if you're the Avalanche, I don't think you want this to end 8-4 or anything like that. Like, you know you're going to win the game, right? Like, 7-2 going into the third period. I think you're very confident. I think we all knew what the end result of that game was going to be.
Yeah.
But I think you want to step on the throat a little bit, which is the phrase I used, and Brady Brown undresses everybody on the Express and scores an 8-2 goal. That's like a backbreaker when the back's already broken. So
Yeah,
it was
for sure.
it was relentless from the New Hampshire Avalanche. Game 2 was an excellent hockey game. Obviously ended a little bit in a way that maybe some people would squint their eyes at, but Avalanche took advantage of a power play in the same way, the San Jose Sharks did in 2019 off another call. That's like, maybe that should have gone a different way, but like,
Yeah.
you still got to kill the penalty and everything.
Yeah. And it's I do think that we need to. I mean, I was never a goalie. Mikey, you can attest to this a little bit. Like, I could never put myself in like that mental frame that they're in. But even though they lost game 2, with every goal, actually, I think it was on the power play, for the Avalanche, for Koenig to bounce back like that in such a short period of time and just give his team a chance, like to come back in that series, I think it's a huge testament to him as a player, because I can only imagine what it would be like to be, the guy in the league all year long. And then you get to game 1 in this hyped up matchup with the Avalanche and you get 7 put in behind you, but then to reset and play as well as he did in game 2, like, he is going to be a tremendous college hockey player at UMass Boston.
Yeah, goaltending is the toughest position, I think, in all sports. I
think it's announcing.
The mental game of goaltending is so tough, and really almost every goalie saw it this weekend, right?
Yeah.
Clegg, Frankie Smith, Flo, and then on Adirondack side in Trinity, they went a 1A, 1B with Eljeji and Zadarozny, and Eljeji gets the win in game 1. Zadarozny doesn't play bad in game 2, but the rotation keeps going, and again, didn't play bad in game 3, but what are you going to do? The 87's really dominated, and then we see it everywhere. You gotta flush it no matter what. If you have a 25 save shutout or you give up 5 on 10, you gotta flush it and move on to the next day. Koenig did that, but the Avalanche just too much firepower on that team.
Also, Alex Girard was fantastic. Like, in game 1, he was good, right? He didn't obviously need to be that great, right? He had a nice buffer from his teammates, but Girard was awesome. And if you remember in game 1, third period, the Avalanche need to call a timeout to make sure Girard's okay in goal.
Yeah.
And he tells his coach he's just fine. There's nobody else coming into this net. And then makes 3 back-to-back pad saves down low right after that. And then he was just awesome in game 2 rather. And for Alex Girard, this is going to be his 3rd trip to Providence. He did it at the EHLP level. He did it as a backup in the EHL last year. And now he has one last shot at redemption. And he's one of the best stories to me in the EHL, right? He's a 1-year P guy, right? Played a little bit of P even last year too, right? Jake Hines played EHLP last year. AJ Gazzardi played some EHLP last year. Avalanche are a team, like, they're always stacked, right? They always get players from, good pedigree too. But what Coach Terrell has done in my time with the league is he's really done a great job with the elevation. He's given the guys the right amount of time at each level that they need, right? Girard's not playing a ton at the EHL level. Get some more P games to get your confidence up next year, for last year, and now this year. He's a Fitchburg State Committee. He's one of the best goaltenders in the league, and he's leading his team towards another Frozen Finals appearance.
I was just going to say, he didn't burn him out either by tandeming. Does that work? No.
It'll work.
By making a tandem out of him and Will Seagrave. Because I think that's key too, right? Because they kept him fresh all year long, because Seagrave was also so damn good as Girard was.
I'm so glad you guys have brought this up, because I think this is a crazy storyline here. Like, Girard beat Walpole back on October 17th. He then lost to them twice. Obviously, that final game of the regular season, which maybe that was some extra motivation for the Avalanche, right?
2-1 too. Such a low scoring.
Seagrave didn't even make that trip to the Philly showcase, right? And then he gets both games in the Valley series. Girard then has stolen the net. Like, it's his net now. He had both Vermont games. He was tremendous in both Walpole games. I mean, this is the ultimate redemption story, Jake. Like, you hit it right on the head there. I mean, and he's committed to the school that just won the MASCAC last year. Like, Coach Fuller, you're probably not listening to this podcast, but you never know because the refs will message us now. But Dean Fuller, like, I'm telling you right now, Alex Gerard could be your starter next year because he could go do something in Providence so special that when he gets on your campus this fall, you're going to want to play him because what this kid has done, knowing that down the other end, Koenig has received all the recognition and justifiably so.
Absolutely. And you know what? I think we can call a spade here. In the two meetings between the two teams that this Express won, Koenig was the better goalie.
Yeah.
So now you have to have that in your head too, that I wasn't as good as the other goalie in the regular season, but now I can be, and I'm going to be. And it was the battle with Alex's.
Wow.
And Gerard was outstanding, and he deserves all the merit, and he's just an unbelievable person too. So I'm thrilled for what Alex Gerard has been able to put together this year.
Yep.
Mickey, is that something as a former goalie? Is that something that goes through your head? Is like that matchup against the other goalie, like trying to one up him and be, okay.
I mean, if I knew I was worse than the other kid, I was like, God damn, this might be a long day. I was almost every game for me. I wasn't Alex Gerard. So yeah, it's like, oh crap, here we go.
So that sets the stage for to kick things off on Thursday. Mikey, this is probably where I confused you. Is we went Friday, Saturday, Sunday, followed by Thursday, Friday, Saturday, right? That it does get a little confusing.
That got me, yeah.
Yes.
This is wild though, Neil. Like, because it feels like the Frozen Finals already happened. And you're like, oh, part 2 action. Holy crap!
We did the prequel before. Woo. Yeah, exactly. All right. So now we kick it off with 87s versus Wolves, and I don't want to say like we willed this to become true, but we kind of talked about this a lot, right? I mean, it started at that last season round robin game that at that time didn't mean anything, right? But it was arguably the best game we had in Providence that week. And then these two teams were just right there neck and neck until the last weekend of the regular season. Like, ultimately, you know, what a run by the Seahawks. Great season for Adirondack. But this EHLP matchup feels like we needed to have it, right? And now when it comes down to who wins this series, like, this is the matchup that we wanted, guys. I mean, and you can make the case that you brought up the names, Jeff. At one point this season, the Nets were McGillicuddy and Christopher Richard. Now it's Sumner Wood versus Frankie Smith. Like, it's gonna be a great series. I think I'm jumping into this a little bit early, but X Factor, Jeff. Do you want to just say Sumner Wood again?
Should I just double down on the old Sumner Wood? Maybe go to the rest of the round table and I'll try to brew something up. But no, seriously, this is just like last year too, right? When we had two of the best teams in the EHLP last year, and that definitely matched up for the championship game. And yeah, I think this definitely was a collision course. Two teams that were just absolutely lights out all year long. Just looking at their numbers, like, it still just doesn't make sense. You look at their like final standings. Wolves 38-4, scored 251 goals, only gave up 115, plus minus of 136. 87s 37-5, 74 points, 184 goals for, 66 goals against, 66, excuse me, for a plus 118 differential. Like, holy smokes, it's just insane. And now that we get to see these two for, well, 2, possibly 3, are we going to go to Saturday, boys? What are we thinking? Are the odds? Are we have good odds for pushing us to Saturday or what?
What's the over under for goals in game 1?
Ooh.
And tell me what side you lean, because I have no idea.
Well, yeah, the Wolves score a lot. 87s don't give up a lot.
But at the same time, look at game 1 of the 87s Adirondack series, 6-5. Right?
And then I would look at the trajectory of the Seahawks series, right? The Wolves scored more and more with each game went on. I just like the matchup between top defenseman versus top D prospect, right? Osher versus Hansen. Those guys are both studs. Yeah. I got to really watch Hansen closely this weekend. He is an EHL caliber defenseman. He's really, really good. Osher, I'm looking forward to see up close and personal for really only the second or third time this season that I've got, get to watch him for full games and stuff. So I'm looking forward to that as well.
These two teams played.
They did 6-4.
what, like that feels
Showcase
like
game.
an
Was that
eternity.
Worcester or Valley?
It was an eternity ago.
Was it Worcester Showcase or Valley Showcase?
It was Worcester. The game was played in Wellesley, where we had to push a bunch of the EHLP games.
Yep.
This is Saturday, October 5th. I mean, it was Christopher Richard versus Christian Amato was in net for the 87s.
How about that?
The Wolves scored 2 goals immediately. The 87s scored the next 4. The Wolves scored the next 4. So maybe the over gets hit in game 1. Who knows, right? Like
that was so long ago too. These teams are so different now compared to that. Like the players wise, they're similar, but I mean the amount of rubber and mileage on these two teams.
Yeah, you go through so much.
Like yeah.
Yeah.
It's so hard to like, and that's the crazy thing, right? Like, because that's what we did with the EHL last week. We went back and we were like, oh, Capitals shut out the 87s 3-0 back in September. So it's like, oh, it's really hard to. I wonder if these coaches really do use the game tape from back then or not. Especially Showcase, it's different. I mean, Showcase too. We do the 2 25-minute halves. It's totally different. Yeah. One intermission, like I don't know, maybe a little bit, probably a little bit, probably power play, PK. You look at some of the systems and little details that maybe you did right or did not do correctly.
Yeah. All right, Jake, do you want to give the X Factor first or Mikey?
Well, I did. That was my D matchup.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Jackson Hansen, Al Kosher. I like that.
Oh, so there you go, Jeff. You can pick one from both sides.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I didn't know we were.
That's what I thought we were doing.
Yeah. Well, Jeff passed it off first.
I can't afford it anymore.
I'll go Sumner Wood versus Frankie Smith. Okay. What we're all wondering. Frankie Smith, all-time leading wins getter, all-time leading shutouts getter in EHLP history versus Sumner Wood, the new guy who's starting to really shut teams down. And yeah, why don't we do that? Wood versus Frankie Smith.
Mikey, you don't have to do a matchup, but you can just pick a player.
You know what?
I'm gonna pick an 87s player if you want to pick a Wolves player, if that helps you.
I was gonna say Matt Duffy. I don't like you.
You go ahead.
Matt Duffy, I mean, he is so fun to watch. And I think, you know, he scores the goals that are meaningful. He also, on that goal Erasmus scored shorthanded, Duffy made a diving play in the neutral zone to poke it to Erasmus to get it to go. I mean, just such a talented group, this 87s team. But when Duffy's going, it seems like they're going. And because everyone's doing it, I'm going to pick one from each side, Neil.
Okay.
Let's go Kelmers for the Wolves.
Yeah.
Just a guy I feel like, you know, we talk about the top line of, you know, Spikuza, Plum, and Etienne Roy. What about when the other guys are going? That's when they're really dangerous. So if Kelmers is going as well, then I think this could be a really tough series for the 87s.
I'll go chalk then, just to make it easy for everyone. I'm going to go, because I had to update the record books here yesterday. I don't know if Zach Spikuza has 11 points in him for the next 3 games, but if he does, he becomes the all-time leader in points in league history.
Jay, can he get it? Can he do it?
11 points.
Captain.
He sets his mind to.
If he gets 5 points in the series, he becomes the all-time record holder for postseason points. He's got 14 so far. That record is 18 from last year. Chris Erasmus for the 87s has 9 goals so far this postseason. So he's 1 away from tying the record for goals in a single postseason. And obviously Spikuza, I mentioned the points. 11 of those are assists. He's 1 away from tying Zach Needham, who had 12 in the 22-23 season. So I'm just record watching. So I'm gonna go with Erasmus and Spikuza, right?
And I'm Zach Spikuza watching, so it's pretty much the same thing, I guess.
Yeah.
It was just record watching and cursing the team near you. Stay away from Commish.
Correct.
You will lose.
Flipping to the EHL, and you can't say that this series was as willed into, you know, happening as it has been, but you look back at the Haverhill showcase, that was one of the best games there. And
absolutely.
And I think a few of us were like, if that's the matchup, wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. and like two coaches who are as close of friends with each other as anybody in our league, and they go against each other for the first time with the championship on the line. And like we had storylines 2 episodes ago, Jeff. I think it was 2 episodes ago, right? Yeah, it was the first round.
Yeah.
Adam Hooley with a chance to get his second title to match 2 titles for Coach Sorella, who is looking for his third title, but the first one since 2019. And you could make the case that no Avalanche team since that year has peaked this well going into this week.
Yeah. I haven't lost a game in the postseason yet. That's pretty good, huh?
Yeah, you have arguably the best player on the ice on the other side for the 87s, and Alex Leykoff. Like, can we have a game 3?
Please. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. No, seriously, that was actually, so not to take us back to too dark for time, but I remember calling that 87s Avalanche game at the Showcase in Haverhill. We had a bit of an ice issue next door.
Yep.
So that game was going to be well attended either way, but it was extra well attended as the two teams. I can't remember. I think it was Wizards and whoever the heck. We're also watching down below with all the fans, with all the coaches. And I remember saying it like kind of like tongue in cheek, like Frozen Finals preview ? 87's Avalanche, because this would be the next time they would play each other. And that game felt like a Frozen Finals game with the atmosphere, the crowd, the comeback by the Avs, because New Jersey was up 2-0 like early in the second period, and then the Avs got goals from Tremblay and Carfora in the second to tie it. Then nobody scored in the third. Then it went all the way to a shootout, and it was Connor McLaughlin. I had to remember. I was like, who was it that actually scored? It wasn't Leykoff. Leykoff got stopped twice, and the Avs didn't score at all. So that was a wild, wild game. But again, way, way long ago, showcase format doesn't mean anything. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. We'll ask Chris and Adam down at Providence this week.
I think the Avalanche as a team, I did the numbers somewhere in my notes. Not going to waste time searching for them, but I think they were like 0 for 19 in the shootout this year.
Ooh, over 19? Thank God we don't do shootouts in playoffs, eh? CC?
Yeah. Yeah.
Damn.
Wow.
Over 19.
I'll try to find it before we're all said and done here, but yeah, not great.
Wow.
Thank God those are done.
Yikes.
Okay, let me get another question out there. Do we get an overtime game in this series?
Oh yeah.
What are you doing?
I think so. We're due.
I'm not afraid to say the word, Jake.
He's not a believer in jinxes, even though
okay, 0 for 18. 0 for 18.
Wow, what a stat line. I mean, when Jake does his research, I'm like, where do you even begin to like look this stuff up?
He's the Eric Hornick of the EHL.
He literally just pulls up all the shootouts and then looks and says 0-0-0-0-0. Add that 0-0-0-0-0.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of like numbers to tally up for if they were scored. It was just the attempts.
Before we get to X factors, I'm gonna make it so that none of us can choose Leykoff. I'm just gonna highlight where he's at so everyone knows. Obviously, best player in the postseason right now. He's got 20 points so far this postseason. He's done it in 8 games.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh my God.
He's 2 away from tying the record for points in a single postseason, which was Alex Peterson, and that was pre-Frozen Finals stays.
Oh my God, that name.
The first Frozen Finals was 2017-18, right?
Correct.
So this is the 2016-17 season. He had 22 points in 12 postseason games. Even if this series goes to 3 games, Leykoff's game total can reach a max of 11. So what he's done already is easily can be ranked as the best postseason by a skater in league history. If he goes out and gets 3 points, which is obviously very possible with the way this kid could put up points.
Yeah, he sneezes points. He goes in the ice like, achoo, there's an assist. Achoo, there's a goal.
I bring up these records because we're in a time of hockey where we just had Ovechkin set the goal record. I mean, Leykoff could put up a total that we see this postseason that we simply never see again, right? Because of the way that the format now ends with the Frozen Finals, and really you could call it a max of 12 games if you play 4 series and all of them go to game 3. If he gets to like 25 points in this series, this is a 2-part question. I'm gonna set the number at he begins the series at 20. If he gets to 27 points, okay, one, does it ever get touched again, that record? Two, do the 87s win the series? Who wants to go
Yes
first?
and yes.
Yes.
No and yes.
Yes
I
and
say
yes.
no and yes.
Wait, no,
I
it
like
doesn't
this.
get touched again.
I think it could get touched.
Who's touching
Really?
this?
You never know. Gretzky.
Alex Lakoff's son.
Vinny?
Alex
Vinny-
Lakoff's son in like 20
couldn't
years.
even touch this.
Gretzky said, it's a tough one, but someone could get there, and somebody did.
Yeah.
Alexander Ovechkin. Yes, if he scores 7 points, they could win the series. If Lykov scores 4 points, they could win the series. I would still say if Flo's on his game, and everyone gets kind of overlooked because of Lykov, right?
Yep.
But like Landon Adams is a stud on defense. Sherbakov, Harisov, like those guys are really good as well. Like they definitely have a ton of talent on this team.
Brandish.
But yeah, I say yes and yes. But obviously, if he gets to 27, that's going to be almost impossible.
Yeah.
I say no and yes. I say it's
Kurosawa
not touched unless Alex Lykov has a kid in the next like couple of years, and then Alex Lykov Jr. comes in and blows doors like his dad. Then I say no.
Was Kurosawa the one that had the blue hair?
Yes.
Okay,
Blue
that
hair?
the picture, Jeff, on Instagram where he's coming to a stop during the introductions, and you can see the Trinity 2015 national champions banner behind him. Like that is the advertisement for the regional finals. Like to play these regional finals in Trinity's rank in Plymouth State, two of the top teams in Division III hockey, like that was pretty damn cool.
Yeah.
But all right, we got to cover X factors. I didn't want to choose any of us to choose him because he's easily the biggest X factor going into this series. And Jeff, since you doubled down and you picked the same guy, I will too, because while yours was correct, mine also was. It just got overshadowed because Sumner Wood was just that good. But Jake Hines is just that good too, right? Jake Hines was a dog for the Avalanche in that series against the Express. And I will forever still see him racing down the ice against the Rangers last season in Game 2 to keep the Avalanche series alive. So he has had success in the building that we're about to go into with the Avalanche last season. Jake Hines, to me, is going to be a huge part of what goes down this week in Providence. If we're picking one from each side, I will say Sherbakov, right? I think he's the other player on the 87s that has like that like red under, like Lykov has this like red part of his girdle, I think, or under his shell and under his jersey as well. So you could always see when he stands out. I think Sherbakov has it also. And it just made my eyes watch him even more in that one game that I was down there watching them play Providence. He's a stud on the back end. Great size, great physical play. I think, I don't know if he lights up the score sheet per se to make an impact that way, but if he can help slow down this Avalanche offense a little bit in front of Flo, it would go a long ways in this series.
With Carfora from the Avs and JD Schonecker from the 87s. Carfora, a guy, another scorer. So like if you're gonna try to shut down Hines, does Carfora get left open? Racked up a lot of points this year, 52 of them. Had an unbelievable postseason. We were talking about Legkoff. Carfora's got 11 points in 6 games. He's got 4 multi-point games. So I think he's going to be, if he can really keep it going the way he is, then the Avs are going to be pretty unstoppable. And then Schonecker, a newer guy for the 87s, but not new to the EHL. He's got 8 points in 8 games, 3 goals, 5 assists. So I think because they're going to be keying on Legkoff and Adams, it's going to be some of the other depth guys that are also going to need to kind of show up. And I think Schonecker has shown that early on. And yeah, he's my player to watch from the 87s.
I'll start with the 87s, and I will go with Tyler Branish. Like Neil said, they're going to need to slow down the Avs, and Branish was unbelievable this weekend against Trinity. Loved his game, especially in Game 3. Had a helper, but more importantly, did a great job against their top guys, slowing them down. That's something that is very tough to do. So he's a guy to keep an eye on. And then on the other side, I'll go Owen Guerin. He's got 6 points in 6 games, a point per game guy over there. And again, Carfora is going to score. Louis Charles Tremblay is going to score. Hines is going to score. So, if Guerin's going, all
Fusion's giving up a lot of goals here. Uh-oh.
So, I'm saying they have. I mean, what are you gonna say? They have. And I know there is the outlier 8-goal game, but this Avs team can score. So
Yeah.
that's something that if Garen's going too, especially on the power play, he's very good there. That's trouble.
Owen Garen's beat Alex Koenig clean twice. That was crazy in itself. There was the one goal where he was on the power play. I was like, oh, he's waiting too long. And then he just buries. And I was like, I'm an idiot for even like thinking that way. But for the Avs, I will go with LC Tremblay for sure. I love LC Tremblay. He is so fast. He's got like see you later speed, like where he'll just drive wide on you and then he's in another zip code. And then for the 87s, rather, I'm gonna go with somebody who's probably been a little bit quieter than we expect him to be, and that's Nikita Sobolev. Yeah. I think he could be a big element to their secondary scoring outside, obviously the big duo up top. But I do want to give a shout out to somebody who I think probably has the hardest shot in this league, and that's Connor Sante. He's a good player.
He does have the hardest shot in the league.
I think
he whipped the power play goal over freaking Clegg, and I was like, whoa.
Okay, but Sante, that was a bomb. That was a bomb in that game one. But that sets the stage, guys. I mean, again, I think every year getting the Providence is a treat because it's just everything that these teams and the staff and the officials have worked for to get to this point. And I think even more so this season with the regional finals, new added hurdle in between, just to get to this point makes it that much sweeter. And we had 3 of 4 series go to game 3 in the regional finals. I'd like to have a full day Saturday because after Saturday we have months off. The first week of recovery always takes a little bit of time, right? But
not as bad this time because of the way you just did this. Regional finals, you get a little bit of a break, and then frozen finals, you get a little break. So it's definitely good for all. Good for staff too, I think.
Jeff, you should feel very fresh right now. Just saying.
I feel so good. I'm gonna light you guys off your seats on Thursday. I promise you that.
Do you want to give one name right now, just to tease the crowd at home, so that they because Jeff, I will say this, and the scorekeeping was good at Plymouth State, and it was good at Trinity. And Mazzone does his thing when he has to do it with the PA announcing.
Always. He's electric.
The PA announcing at Plymouth was suspect.
AJ Lackessing?
All caps. So right now I need this.
Yes, we had the Seahawks versus the Seawolves.
So I need this.
Matchup.
I need this right now, Jeff. So I need you to give one because I know what you're gonna do for us on Thursday, and it's gonna. I know what it's gonna do for the teams on Thursday, but this is the perfect like appetizer warm up. Get us started. Just give us a name, and maybe it's the name that we wanted you to do mid-season, and you didn't want to do it, but now you get to.
Yeah, the Flowinator. Flow is going to be fun. As you said, vowels are the ones I like to ride. That's one of my secrets. Alex Legkoff's going to be fun too, I think.
Oh,
Alex. Yep, that one's
do it because you're going to say it a lot anyway.
I don't like doing this. I don't like doing it like it feels. Jeff, I like the natural feel.
I don't like this right now. I don't
like the fake. You need it? Do you really need it?
I do.
You want one?
One.
It's hard to choose one.
What
if I do? What if I coach Hooley? Adam, who?
Go ahead. That's fine.
Do you like that one?
Yeah.
And the head coach of your New Jersey 87s, Adam Hooley.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I'm ready now.
And actually, we get to bring back Coach Josh Bourdon.
Yes.
Who's actually goes by Josh Borden, but last year for all the eShow fans, I actually asked him because I didn't know if he was French, didn't know him at the time, and he was like, my original family, Jeff, probably is the Bourdon, so I like that. Bourdon. And then it was like all the boys on the bench were like, Bourdon, like holding like a glass of wine. So Coach Bourdon is coming back this week, not Borden.
I will say this about the PA at Plymouth. I wasn't there day one, but I guess it was a hard Mike Richard. on day three.
Richard. On
day 3, it was a really hard
Mike Richard.
Mike Richard.
Richard with his dad Claude in attendance. That must have not been. He would be like, "Oh, what the hell?"
Listen though, but for the teams that had their seasons end at the regional finals, I know it stings, right? To get through the first 2 rounds, win your divisions, to be there, to be one step away, it's something that you'll have to live with now, forever. To know, to ask the question in your head, kind of what if, but. A truly remarkable season for all 4 of those teams. And then for the 4 teams advancing this week, what we have in store for this year's Frozen Finals is unmatched, like it always has been, right? Obviously, Mikey and George comboing to call the EHL games. You got Anthony and Chris for the EHLP. Jake inside the glass, in between. We're going to come up with a name for that hallway this year, whatever we're going to call it. He's going to be there for
the bathtub.
The it's not a bathtub because it's enormous, but anyways, he'll be there for all EHL and EHLP. Jeff, you're on PA. Obviously, we got Trevor coming for all the video, Mia coming for all the photography.
Family's back together.
I get to just kind of like watch you guys do your thing, which is awesome.
Our dad.
But it's awesome because you're all so good at what you do, and the emails that I get after these events from the parents recognizing how much of a show it is what makes it all that much more special. And whoever comes out and wins the 2 series this week, I know they're going to be a very deserving champion. And I can't wait to see how it unfolds. And it's awesome to be right now, on the verge of another Frozen Finals and maybe the biggest one yet. So if you can't make it to Providence, I hope everybody can, right? Obviously, the hotel links have been sent to all the parents. Like, everyone's all in the same hotel. This is the EHL show this week. If you can't make it and you're going to be watching on Full Hockey, you're going to have an awesome stream to watch and an awesome show to take in. And we'll see everyone on Thursday. I can't wait for this.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to The E Show, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network. Learn more about us at easternhockeyleague.org and follow us on all of your favorite social media platforms. Also, be sure to subscribe and get notified when our next podcast episode is released.